So, Hannah, I was on a video call this morning with a team in Europe, and something happened that I feel like we talk about all the time. There was this one person on the call, super smart. You could tell they knew their stuff inside and out. But when it was their turn to speak, they just froze.
Oh, I know that freeze. It's almost you can see it happen through the screen, can't you? It's not that they don't have anything to say, it's like the connection between their brain and their mouth just buffers for a second.
Exactly, buffering is the perfect word. And later on, they sent a follow up email with incredibly detailed, perfectly articulated points. And it just got me thinking again about this huge gap that so many people experience, the gap between understanding and speaking.
It's probably the most common frustration we hear from professionals, right? I can read reports, I can understand everything in the meeting, I can even watch a movie without subtitles, but when I have to speak, nothing.
It's a disconnect, and I think people often blame their vocabulary or their grammar, but it's usually not about that. The person I saw this morning, their English in that email was flawless, better than a lot of native speakers, honestly.
That makes sense because listening and reading are receptive skills. You're taking information in, but speaking is a performance. Suddenly you're on a stage, even if that stage is just a conference call or a chat by the coffee machine.
That's such a good way to put it. A performance. And with performance comes the fear of making a mistake. In your head, you can craft the perfect sentence, you can edit it, you can move clauses around.
Right? You're the writer and the editor.
But when you have to say it out loud in real time with your boss and three colleagues waiting, that's a whole different kind of pressure. The internal editor starts working overtime.
And it's not just, is this the right word? It's, is this the right tone? Do I sound professional? Am I interrupting? Oh, wait, is that preposition correct? Should I have used the present perfect? By the time you've had that internal debate, the conversation has moved on three topics.
Yes, the moment is gone. That's a huge one, especially in fast paced work meetings. You have this brilliant idea, you formulate it, you're ready to contribute, and you're just waiting for that perfect half second of silence to jump in. And it never comes. Or when it does, you hesitate for a split second and someone else starts talking.
And that hesitation is everything. It's the overthinking. It's the brain trying to be perfect instead of just present. I think we underestimate the mental energy it takes to participate in a conversation in a second language, especially a professional one.
Totally. You're not just processing what's being said, you're processing the accents, the speed, the cultural subtext, the corporate jargon. And at the same time, you're trying to formulate your own thoughts. It's an incredible cognitive load.
It's exhausting. And that exhaustion can lead to avoidance. You just start thinking, okay, I'll just stay quiet on this call. I'll share my thoughts later over email, which in the short term feels safer.
It does. It's a coping mechanism. But then it creates this cycle where you don't get the speaking practice, which means you don't build the confidence, so you stay quiet in the next meeting, and it just reinforces itself.
What about the less formal stuff? I sometimes think that's even harder, the small talk.
Oh, absolutely. The dreaded, how was your weekend?
Exactly. Because in a meeting, you have a context and agenda. With small talk, it's so open ended. The pressure is to be quick, to be interesting, maybe even funny. And your brain just goes blank. Your entire vocabulary vanishes.
Right. Someone asks, how was your weekend? And instead of just saying, it was good, I relaxed a bit, watched a movie, your mind is racing, trying to find the most impressive or fluent sounding answer.
And in that silence, while you're searching, you just end up saying, good. And you?
Yeah, and then you walk away kicking yourself because you sound so basic and you have so much more you wanted to say. It doesn't reflect your personality or your intelligence at all.
That's the core of the frustration, isn't it? The feeling that the person people are hearing isn't the real you. It's a simplified, hesitant version of you.
It really is. And phone calls are another level.
Don't even get me started on phone calls. No visual cues. You can't see if the other person is nodding or smiling or looks confused. You're just talking into a void.
The silence feels 10 times longer on the phone. And if there's a bad connection or someone has a strong accent, it just amplifies the anxiety. You're so focused on just understanding the words that you have zero brain power left to think about how to reply.
Right. And you use up all your energy on, I'm sorry, could you repeat that? And then you just feel defeated.
It's funny, we're talking about all these specific situations meetings, small talk, phone calls, but it all comes back to the same root cause this mental block. It's not a knowledge problem, it's a confidence and a performance problem.
Exactly. It's the internal pressure we put on ourselves. I think many adult learners, especially successful professionals, are used to being competent. They're experts in their field. And to suddenly feel like a beginner again, to feel incompetent in a basic human function like speaking, it's really uncomfortable.
It's a vulnerability. You're exposing that you're not perfect, that you're still learning. And in a competitive professional environment, that can feel risky. So the brain's natural defense is to just not speak, to play it safe.
That makes so much sense. And the environment plays such a huge role in that. If you're with colleagues who are patient and encouraging, you might feel more willing to take that risk.
For sure.
But if you're in a group of fast talking native speakers who are impatient, or worse, who make a joke about your accent or a mistake you made, that can shut a person down for weeks.
Oh, absolutely. It reinforces that fear and confirms the little voice in your head that says, see, you shouldn't have spoken. It's safer to be quiet.
It's just so important for people to know that it's normal. It's not a personal failure. The path to fluency isn't this smooth, straight line. It's full of these plateaus where your receptive skills outpace your productive skills.
And nearly every successful adult language learner has been on that exact plateau, feeling like you have a PhD in understanding English, but you're in kindergarten when it comes to speaking it.
That's a perfect description. It's like you've read all the books on how to swim, you understand the physics of buoyancy, you've watched hours of Olympic swimming, but you're standing at the edge of the pool, terrified to jump in.
Because knowing is not the same as doing. And I think if people could just be a little kinder to themselves about that and recognize that speaking is a physical, muscular skill as much as it is a mental one, it might take some of the pressure off.
Yeah, just allowing yourself to be imperfect, to not have the perfect word, to use a simpler sentence, to say and like every native speaker does. Giving yourself that grace is half the battle.
It really is. The goal isn't to sound like a perfect, articulate robot. It's just to connect with another person. And connection happens through imperfect, real conversation, not through a flawless monologue.
So true. And realizing that the person you're talking to is probably more interested in your idea than in your grammar.
Right, they just want to hear what you have to say. It's something to think about. Anyway, this whole gap is just a fascinating part of the journey.
It really is a frustrating one for sure, but a very human one. And definitely not a sign that you're doing something wrong. It's just a sign that you're on the way.
On the way. I like that. It reframes it from a failure to a journey. So, if we know what the problem is, this performance anxiety, this mental block, what do we do about it? How do people get off that terrifying edge of the pool and actually jump in?
I think the first step is lowering the stakes. You can't start with a high pressure board meeting. You need a safe space to fail, to sound silly, to search for words without judgment. It's about building speaking muscle memory in a low gravity environment.